Welcome to Beyond the Code, the podcast where industry experts and brilliant legal minds discuss the impact of new emerging technologies.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by a very special guest who I have not yet been properly acquainted with, but I am told that he has a phenomenal story to tell. So I am pleased to introduce Michael Terpin.
Terpin.
Terpin. Michael, who are you?
Well, I've been in Bitcoin and crypto since 2012. Got really heavily into
2012.
it.
Wow.
Got really heavily into it pretty much exclusively in early 2013.
Who were you before Bitcoin?
Before Bitcoin, I was a technology investor and marketer.
Okay.
So was very heavily into the internet in the 90s. Started what's now a $500 million company that was funded by Sequoia called Globe Newswire. It was the first internet-based press release service. And I did that because I was doing public relations for a lot of the early companies in the internet, like Motley Fool and Earthlink and America Online, and sort of saw that, the internet was developing very fast, and the companies that were servicing the internet were still in the horse and buggy era, including the newswires. They did satellite. Here, Newswire and Business Wire did satellite and fax, and it made no sense to have to use satellite infrastructure to be able to send text. And so I came up with the first internet-based solution and scaled it and sold it, and then moved on to the next thing.
So you were basically open to new technologies, and then you recognized Bitcoin, and you said, "This is something cool. I want to get into."
Yeah. So I like to say I have the blessing and the curse of finding out about new tech early. I got into the internet in 92. Got into social media in 2001. And got into Bitcoin in 2012.
What's the curse?
And the curse is you think you're going to run with stuff, and it's still everybody's like, "What the hell are you talking about? I don't even know what this is." So, and I thought each time that I was too late. I thought I was too late when I got into the internet because there's already, the internet I thought I was still pretty early. But with social media, I thought I was kind of late. And certainly I thought I was late with Bitcoin because it had already gone to $100 by the early 2013 I knew people who got in at pennies. And obviously, it's gone over 100,000 now. So it wasn't that late.
But it takes time to realize that, I guess, as these markets and as these technologies mature.
Well, and the other thing also is I made a point of really getting to know everyone in the industry, because when I got into the internet, I learned, I met the marketing directors. I really didn't meet the CEOs. And I made a point of really, while the industry is still young, meeting all the CEOs of all the great projects. And then I first met Brian Armstrong at that show, the first Bitcoin conference in early 2013. He was standing in front of a 10 by 10 booth for Coinbase handing out T-shirts. I still have the T-shirt.
Wow.
And he had his intern there. Olaf Carlson-Wee, who now runs one of the biggest venture funds.
Yeah, that's familiar.
So, it's fun being in early and then sort of riding the wave. And
so I think
we're there right now in AI. So
what's it been like seeing crypto evolve and then coming to a conference like this? What is it? If you got into
I've been to all the
years
consensus conferences going back to the very beginning. I speak at them. I spoke yesterday on the Bitcoin cycles, which has been a particular passion of mine, explaining to traditional investors why Bitcoin is a great opportunity. I spoke and I wrote the book Bitcoin Supercycle.
Okay.
Simon & Schuster distributes it, and it came out in late 24, and then in late 25, I started a fund, the Bitcoin Supercycle Fund, traditional hedge fund, based on that thesis, and so which is effectively, Satoshi said in the white paper and subsequent writings that as long as the amount of new money coming into Bitcoin every 4 years exceeds the amount of new coins mined, the price has to go up. It's math, supply and demand. And first halving was $12, second halving was $670, third was $8,700. This most recent was $64,000.
Wow.
And so all the wild volatility that happens in Bitcoin happens in between the halvings, and it's based on fear and greed. And so in 2015, I came up with a thesis that showed that the fear and greed cycles between the halving points happen in the exact same order, and they're based on definitive activities that happen and take about the same amount of time. And I call them the 4 seasons of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin spring is the day of the halving. It's the shortest season. It happens when at the halving, Bitcoin miners go from being slightly profitable to being wildly unprofitable because they have the same costs and now they have half the rewards. You'd think the price would drop. It doesn't. It stays flat. And it stays flat because for everybody, a miner selling Bitcoin, there's someone willing to buy because they look and say, oh, I know it'll be worth more 4 years from now. And so Bitcoin summer happens the day of the new all-time high, which has only been usually 4 to 7 months after the halving. It's actually the shortest season. And then that's when
September.
It's different every time.
Yeah.
Right. This last time it was in November of 24.
Right.
And so it's when you pass the all-time high from the last cycle. So this time you had to pass 73,850. I finished writing my book in the summer of 2024, and I projected that if Trump won, that would be good macro for crypto. Little do we know about the tariffs, but at least initial good macro. And we would hit the new all-time high in early November. We did, right on election day. And if Kamala won, we'd still hit a new all-time high, but it would probably be in December, maybe January.
Why is that?
Because the Democrats were anti-crypto. And so
why would we still reach an all-time high?
Because of math, because of supply and demand. You basically still have a lot of people who are not panic selling their Bitcoin because of Kamala, but you do have people who decided to go in because of anytime there's a new all-time high, people come in because they're like, oh, Bitcoin, I thought that was dead. It's a new all-time high. I better buy some. And actually, the first day of Bitcoin summer is always a good time to buy because it always goes up for the next couple of weeks. Yeah. And then it kind of stalls out in the middle of the cycle and then it maybe dips a little bit. It did this time on Liberation Day. Went from 73 up to like 119 on Inauguration Day, and then it went back down to 75. And I tweeted that was as low as it's going to go. I didn't think it would go below the initial all-time high or the high from last cycle. And then it bubble popped in October at 126. And, that was also as predicted in my thesis, which is 9 to 11 months that basically it takes from the initial high to when the bubble pops. That's the last day of Bitcoin summer and the first day of Bitcoin fall. And Bitcoin fall historically has lasted exactly 1 year. And so a lot of people now are saying cycles are broken. The all-time high, dropped to the cycle low in February, and now it's all up forever. I was on a panel where one of the people said it's going to be 250,000 by the end of the year. Another says 150,000. And yet we tested the 200-day moving average yesterday, and it dropped. So I still think the most likely path is that we're going to go and retest the cycle low of 60K and go below it.
Okay.
And so probably somewhere in the 40s or 50s. I'd say probably the 40s are less likely now because of the amount of institutional buying. But that does not, sort of break the cycle, in my opinion. And so we'll find out in a couple of months whether I'm right or whether the people who say all is up are right.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about today's sponsor. First Read is an AI tool built specifically for lawyers. I've been using it at my firm for over a year now, and I honestly can't imagine my practice without it. I use it as a companion throughout my whole workflow. It runs the first read, literally, of any legal document I'm reviewing. It helps me draft from scratch, and when I'm in a deep, complex piece, I could literally just talk to it. For a commercial lawyer, that's invaluable. But here's what really made me want to work with them. They're a small startup and they care, like really care. If you have an issue, you can get the founder himself in your DMs and he fixes it in minutes. Oh, and the pricing, way more accessible than their competitors. If you want to give it a whirl, head over to firstread.com/sign up and make sure to use BYND, the code 10 at checkout for an additional 10% off. If you do try it, please reach out to me and tell me what you think. I genuinely love to hear your experience.
But so we'll find out whether you're right as far as the lows are concerned. What are we looking at based on your theory as far as future highs?
Yeah. So we typically have the highs at the end of the bubble popping at Bitcoin summer.
Okay.
And so if we...
Talk to me in the framework of months.
2029.
2029.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a long time to hold.
Well, let me say, cycle high for next cycle will be in 2029. We probably will hit a new all-time high prior to then, either just before or just after the halving. Last 4 years ago, we actually had a new all-time high for the first time a month before the halving, but then it came back down to the halving, which has always sort of been the perfect price of Bitcoin. Neither overbought nor oversold. In my book, I call it the Goldilocks number. And not too hot, not too cold. It's always just about right. And so 126, I mean, I could easily see us. I don't think it'll happen this year, but I can see it happening in late 27 or early 28. And so that'd be the 2 cycles in a row that we had a new all-time high before the halving. But in both of those cycles, we ended up going lower than what the kind of predicted amount with neutral macro. Because we had negative macro in Biden, and we really had negative macro this time because of the tariffs. You would have thought we would have had positive macro because of having a pro-crypto president, but he still hasn't gotten the Clarity Act passed. And really every time he tweets about tariffs going up, stocks crash and crypto crashes worse. And that's what
amazing though.
That's what happened on 10th.
The power of Twitter. Or
well, it's truth now, yeah.
Yeah.
But no,
But it really is Twitter, because people are just copy pasting his truth posts into Twitter, and then that's what's moving the market.
It'll be Truth Social, but then it gets picked up on Twitter and everywhere else, including traditional news.
Yeah.
And this time,
I live in Israel, and we just get those truth posts translated, and it like instantly it moves the markets.
Yeah.
Cross border. So
great.
Thank you so much for joining me, Michael Terpin. What was the name of your venture, your hedge fund?
It's called
Terpin Ventures.
No. It's called the Bitcoin Supercycle Fund.
That's the book.
That's the name of the fund too.
Oh, that's the name of the fund. Wow. Okay. Wow. So thank you so much for sharing your thesis with me. And I asked you for an origin story. You didn't go back very far.
Yeah,
I would love to know where you grew up, who your best friends were.
Yeah.
But
well, I was going to say between me getting in 2013 and then writing the book in 2024, I did a lot of work with early projects. I did the marketing, the initial PR launch for Ethereum, for Tether, for about 400 other projects. And so CNBC called me the Godfather of crypto because of that. Okay. And so it's sort of stuck.
So we had Hester Peirce, who's crypto mom, and now we've had the Godfather of crypto.
There you go.
Maybe we'll have the brother and the sister on next. Thank you so much for joining me.
Right, thank you.
Have a great week.
All right.